Hey everyone, it is Monday, December the 30th, 2019, around 2:45 p.m., and this might be my last hike of the decade. This is my second hike of the day in the Pisgah Ranger District of Pisgah National Forest. Earlier in the day, I hiked to Looking Glass Rock. It was about a 6.5 to 7 mile hike and took about 3.5 hours. After that, I drove north on Highway 276 and parked at the Pink Beds picnic area to hike the Pink Beds Loop Trail, which is adjacent to the Cradle of Forestry National Historic Site. This is an easy 5.3 mile loop that follows the perimeter of a high elevation mountain bog around the headwaters of the South Fork Mills River. But in order to finish this trail for the Pisgah 400 Challenge, I also have to do a connector on the east end, which will bring my hike to around 6 to 6.5 miles. Not a big deal because so far this is incredibly flat and easy, and you can just breeze right on through this trail, hiking at least 3 miles an hour. Currently, I'm heading east on the northern half of the loop, which is mixed use with mountain bikes, but so far, since I left the picnic area, I've only seen one group of hikers. The picnic area was pretty crowded, I'd say at least 30 cars, but it's a really nice meadow, and I bet most people just came here to hang out. At the moment, after crossing the South Fork Mills River, really close to the parking lot, I've just been hiking through this pine and boggy type forest, and maybe later on I'll get some better views of the river. Second crossing of the day over an unnamed creek. At least it's unnamed on the map. This gives you an idea of just the type of water you're going to see on the Pink Beds Loop Trail. Very pleasant and soothing. No waterfalls in this area. It's flat. Lots of sandy and pebble shoals that look really inviting to wade in. All right, it's time to show you the route of my Pink Beds Loop hike. There are two good maps for the Pisgah Ranger District. One is by National Geographic, and the other is by Pisgah Map Company. They both have similar topographic scales. However, I prefer this map because the color detail and the shading is a lot better in this map. Additionally, there are far more labels for the trails, waterfalls, views, and peaks compared to the National Geographic map, but both work for this area. In the intro, I stated that Pink Beds was adjacent to the Cradle of Forestry National Historic Site. Turns out it's within the historic site. This whole shaded area in yellow is the Pink Beds area, which is the high elevation mountain bog, and all of these streams feed into the South Fork Mills River. If you look at this on like Google Terrain or another topographic online map, you'll see this area is all flat, and this area is the rim around the South Fork Mills River, which drains to the east. Started the hike at the Pink Beds picnic area on 276, following the northern end of Trail 118, crossing over the South Fork Mills River, unnamed creek, and right now I'm at the junction with the Barnett branch trail. I will continue the loop trail, and as you can see, the 5.3 mile loop trail described at the parking lot is this loop. But to finish the trail completely for the challenge, I also have to add this connector to this forest road. And then after that, I'll take the southern end of the trail, which more closely parallels the river, so there should be more cool views there, before finishing at the picnic area. I'm on a gentle ridge north of the main watershed, and I'm getting close to the eastern split of the loop. Just thought I'd show you this kind of unusual area. My guess is this whole valley was clear cut many years ago due to its tame topography and accessibility, but it's just a kind of weird passing through just really short rhodos and azalea and mountain laurel at this elevation. Just doesn't feel like a trail in the mountains, even though, as you can clearly see, the valley is completely surrounded by a rim of 4,000, 5,000 foot peaks. At the confluence of Poplar Creek, flowing into South Fork Mills River. It's actually pretty confusing finding the eastern connector. I took a side path to a campsite that I thought was the trail and had to bushwhack to the official trail. I'm glad it was blazed, because it seems like after the loop turns back towards the west, not many people use this section of the trail. But I'm on my way to finish this little half-mile or so connector, and then I'll continue west on the loop towards the parking lot. This right here, really freaking annoying. The eastern terminus of the trail is, I think, at about 200 feet over there, and to officially finish it, I have to wade through Thompson Creek. If it was a little drier, I think I'd be able to keep my feet dry, but nope, no bridge around. Gotta get wet to finish the trail. Sucks for me. Eastern terminus of the Pink Beds Loop Trail. Interesting little area in the middle of nowhere. It appears this road ends right here. And I bet that the road is gated in the winter, so on foot is the only way to access this area. Just my guess without checking the map. As you can see, the South Fork Mills River has grown exponentially. Pretty big right now. Also at this campground, there's some gravel tent sites here, a couple fire pits. Nice little secluded area. If you're able to drive back here, even better. You can backpack here. Pretty easy hike. And you'll have water access. There's also this old building right here. It's a gauging station. At least this geological survey calls it a gauging station. But that's not been in use for a while, in my estimation. All right, time to head back and rejoin the loop. It's a race against the sun. The eastern connector to the loop is worth checking out. Although there are never wide open views of the South Fork Mills River, the trail really never strays more than 10 feet away from the river banks. Pretty cool trail, I have to say. And in the summer, this would actually be really fun as a creek walk. Apparently, I did a significant shortcut when I bushwhacked to meet up with the eastern connector, because the Pink Bed Loop Trail swings much further away from that junction than it shows on the map. So that means I have to go back and finish that little connection, so it's probably an extra few hundred yards going out and back to where I got off the trail. Additionally, what I just did is called the gauging station trail. I don't know if I recognize that trail from the challenge list or the maps or anything, so I'll have to check that and see if it's part of the challenge. Either way, I finished it. So I'm going to put this down and do a quick out and back to finish up the loop trail. If you're looking to do a beginner backpacking trip or take small kids on a backpacking trip, you can't get much better than the Pink Beds Loop. The loop is littered with all kinds of campsites and really easy access to water. Plus in the summer, this water would be really fun to relax in. This is just one example of the river and one of the best campsites of the day directly beside it, with nice flat solid ground and a good fire ring. So definitely check this out, because you could easily connect this loop with a bunch of other trails in the area to make a multi-day trip that would be a lot tougher than doing just this. I feel dumb choosing to do the north section of the loop first. That was much more boring. And now with fading sunlight, I get to the good stuff. This is just a beautiful area. High elevation river, valley, and bogs. This is really cool. And another example in this area that looks really similar is Picklezheimer Fields, which is around the junction of Cedar Creek and Grogan Creek, southwest of the Wildlife Center for Education. But this is much larger. The northern rim of Pink Beds is much more impressive than the southern rim, because everything is around 5,000 feet or higher. Plus we have this excellent golden hue from the sunset. I can actually see the towers on Frying Pan Mountain up there. Second junction with the Barnett Branch Trail on the southern half of the loop. Looks like the Barnett Branch Trail follows this really cool boardwalk over the river. Let's go check this out before it gets too dark. Another boardwalk. I'm excited. Man, this is a long boardwalk. Pretty cool. This is a long and impressive boardwalk. I didn't know I was in the mountains. I would say I was in the coastal part of the state, in one of the state parks I've been to in the last couple of years that also feature really long boardwalks over swamps. It is 5:45 p.m. and the sun is setting behind me light is quickly fading, but I just finished the Pink Beds Loop hike, and I'm back at the Pink Beds picnic area right beside the parking lot. This hike also was about 3.5 hours long, and in my estimation was about 6.5 miles. I think the extra eastern connector, which is called the Gauging Station Trail, was longer than half a mile each direction. Additionally, I got a little bit off track and did a bushwhack, and then I had to backtrack and do that little segment to complete the trail. But overall, I really enjoyed this hike. It was a lot different than the previous hike, where there were a ton of people. It was kind of a classic mountain ascent in western North Carolina with big views. But this was much more serene, a lot easier footing. I do wish that I did this hike in reverse. The northern half of the loop is basically a mountain biking trail. It's a thoroughfare. It's flat, it's straight, there's not much to see, it's mostly in the forest. While the southern half had so much more character. There was multiple boardwalks, really cool views of the river, tributaries, and all of the swampy bog areas throughout this hike. And I do recommend the Gauging Station Trail. That was felt a little bit different than either half of this loop. It followed the river for over a half mile to a very remote campsite. So overall, this is a really quality day hike, probably a difficulty of 2 or 3 out of 10, and at most it should take you 4 hours. But it's almost 6 o'clock, so I think it's time to head home. Hope you enjoyed these 2 videos from December 30th, 2019. Probably my last hike of the decade because I'm going to get home late. I don't feel like hiking tomorrow. But overall, I got 2 completed trails on this hike, Pink Beds Loop Trail and the Gauging Station Trail. Plus, the Looking Glass Rock Trail from earlier today gives me 3 more completed trails for the Pisgah 400 Challenge. I'm well on my way to 30% of the way done. See you guys in 2020.